Name is Ken Lewicki of channelinginc.com. And today I'm going to give some tips on how to do animal communication, how to channel pets in this case. So we're going to get very specific on channeling pets and we're going to have just a blast. So stay tuned, try to watch the entire video because as you watch the entire video, near the end, I'm going to give some tips. Um, our pets. So even if you don't have a pet, you can watch this video anyways, and you could practice on other people's pets, or animals in the community, whatever it might be. Okay, so you don't have to have a pet to do animal communication. I'm just going to say the word pets, but fill in the blank, whatever that might mean to you, whoever that might be. Okay, so our pets, just like humans, we have souls. They have animal souls, which are different than human souls, and the animal souls. They work and operate in a different realm, it's called the animal spirit realm. And so what we can do is we can actually connect directly with the pet soul and get information about the pet. So what kind of information might you want to get? Well, you might want to find out, okay, what's going on with the pet? What's happening with it? How is it thinking? What's going on with it? Is there any situations that it's not liking? You could also find out what's the wants and the needs of the pet, like what kind of desires does it have? Maybe there's things you're not quite aware of. Or the other reason, and this is very common, is maybe the pet is misbehaving and maybe it's doing things you don't necessarily like. So then what you can do is connect with the pet's soul and find out what's really going on with this. Okay, so how do you do this? Now, one of the things that I teach my students is, like, you can do an intellectual connection, and there's nothing wrong with that. You'll still get information and all that. But instead, what I suggest to my students is they connect with their soul. So you connect with your soul to the soul of your pet. And this way, you're going to get a stronger, more deeper connection with your pet rather than just an intellectual connection. And if you want to practice this, maybe there's a pet around you right now, you could more than welcome to practice it. But what I recommend you do is try to actually, like, feel the difference between an intellectual connection and feel the difference between a soul connection to your pet. So I call it a soul to soul connection. You can not only do it with your spirit, with your pets, you can also do it with other spirits like your spirit guides and loved ones and things like that. So we're going to stick to animal communication though. And what I recommend you do is, I do recommend you close your eyes, go somewhere quiet, and really just allow yourself to just relax into your body and feel that soul connection that you have with your pet. Now, this is something I learned again through years and years of practicing this, is that what happens is if I barge in too quickly, like, you have to remember that pets and animals in general are very spiritually connected. They're very sensitive. So if we jar them or jolt them and they're like, "Whoa, what the heck is this? What's going on?" Now, a lot of people's pets, you're fine with it. But if you're working with other people's pets, like different, other pets or animals, you want to go in slowly to begin with, psychically from a distance. You want to approach them slowly. And if at any time you feel any kind of resistance or whatever, just stop, let them know it's safe, it's okay, and then try to go a bit closer. And if you feel any resistance or like you should stop, just stop, honor that, and then go in a bit closer until you get even closer to that pet soul. And then when you get nice and close, then you want to assess it. Okay, what is the texture of the soul of the pet? What is the characteristics of the soul of the pet? How does it, like, how does it operate? How would you describe it? This, and then get to know, like, the desires of your pet. Like, what is it here for? What is its role? What is its how does it want to help you and support you? What is it, maybe the needs that are not being fulfilled? So on that note, not a lot of people realize this, but pets actually have spirit guides. My experience is they usually have between 1 to 2 spirit guides, is how many our pets have. So what can happen though is your pet might be like, "Oh, I just want you to stay home 24/7 all the time, be with me." Obviously, that's not practical. That's not going to work, especially if you have a full-time day job and you have to go to the office or go to work, whatever, and or you have to run errands or whatever. So just because a pet wants something doesn't mean you're going to give it to them. But it's nice to know, what are their wants, what are their desires. I had a client in my workshop where, he was like, oh yeah, I'm so focused on my business, I'm not giving my pet as much quality time as they would like. So giving it a bit more quality time is reasonable, right? And these are the insights that you could get with your pet. But another big reason that you can channel your pet is to figure out like what's going on if they're misbehaving, if they're doing things that are not quite appropriate, or like chewing things or scratching things or peeing different places or pooping, things like that. You can talk to them and communicate these, what's going on, to find out what's going on. Now, this is where the pet spirit guides come in, because the pet itself, they may not know why they're misbehaving, why they're doing these actions. They might legitimately not know. So it's kind of like a toddler. Sometimes a toddler does something and they don't know why they're doing it. They just are doing it, right? But then you have someone of a higher like authority or perspective, like maybe a parent or something like that. Oh, that child's acting this way, like because they're the parent and they know, they're like, oh, maybe the child's hungry and this is what happens when they're hungry, or maybe the child is sleepy and this is what happens when they're sleepy or tired, like overly tired, or maybe the child hasn't taken its medication or whatever. It could be a number of reasons. So, but the parent would know things like this. Okay. So the same thing with pets is sometimes a pet doesn't know what's going on, why they're misbehaving, why they're peeing places or scratching things up or whatever the behavior is, barking like crazy, or if it's a cat, maybe doing inappropriate, behaviors as a cat. But you can communicate with the pet's spirit guides to find out what's going on with the pet, because they might have different insights than the pet itself, and they might know what's really going on. Now, you ready for this? Use your own spirit guides while connecting with your pet, because your spirit guides operate where? In the astral realm, in this higher dimension. And from this higher dimension, they can give you even more insights than maybe the pet itself, and maybe even the pet's spirit guides itself. So this is where you want to start, like, when we get to this level, it's pretty advanced. Obviously, when I teach my students, where do I start? I start with teaching them how to channel their own spirit guides. That's the foundation. Start to channel their soul, their higher self, their spirit guides, get to know their spirit guide team. And then this way, when we get to these more advanced levels, these more advanced techniques, then you could start, because you know your spirit guide team and you already know how to channel them, then it's pretty easy to transfer that over to channeling animals in this example. Pretty cool, right? So my name is Ken Lewicki. Channelinginc.com is my website. I have all these trainings available for you, so feel free to go ahead and check it out. And then I have a whole bunch of other events and workshops, trainings, and other events, healing events, the Ask Ken Show, and so on and so on. I love to hear from you. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to comment. And we'll talk to you all soon. Have a great day, everyone. See you soon.